Between the Lines. It's a SAC.TV program. You can watch this live on SAC.TV. And this is our second edition. This time we'll be talking about upcoming events and special issues in front of SAC, but also some of the things that are in the news this week. And today we have with us Lou Ismay, who's the current president of SAC and a long-standing member here and a long-standing member of the environmental community as well. And we have Joe Kriss, Joe Sinatra, the beat goes on, right, Joe?
Absolutely.
And we're here to talk about some of the events.
Going strong.
Some of the events that are going on right here in downtown Schenectady.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things that we want to talk about, because this is coming up actually tomorrow, is at the Shrine of Our Lady of Martyrs. We're having an event there. SAC will be covering it. And June 13th at 2 p.m., Supreme Knight Carl Anderson and the International Knights of Columbus are going to be presenting a check for $500,000, which they've already started using to the upgrading of the shrine. The Knights of Columbus in New York State also presenting a check for $100,000, and the Capital District KOC Knights of Columbus will be presenting a check for $50,000. The proceeds go to the Shrine's Building Fund. The idea here is to celebrate the 130th anniversary of the Auriesville Shrine in Fultonville, New York. The event at 2 o'clock is open to the public, and the Coliseum can hold up to 10,000 people, so everybody's welcome. Right, Lou?
We have to round them up.
That's right. And this event has been organized by Joey Caruso. A lot of people know Joey from the radio business. And there's a lot of interesting guests also. We're expecting at least one cardinal and a bishop to come to this event, so that's quite a thing. But I was over at the shrine earlier this morning, and they're planting beautiful flowers everywhere, painting, cleaning. You look at the place, the statues, everything's being redone in anticipation of an answer from the Pope about visiting the Auriesville Shrine. As it stands right now, we're very hopeful, but I'll tell you, this Auriesville Shrine has never looked better than it does right now. It was unbelievable to see what they've done with the place in just in the last few weeks. So it's for more information, you can go to the martyrshrine.org or auriesvilleshrine.com. And we'll be touching on some more events a little later on with Joe here in and around Schenectady. But let's go on to some of what's going on with SAC. The SAC stands obviously for the Schenectady Access Cable Council, and we're having our annual membership meeting coming up at Arthur's Market here in Schenectady on June 23rd. And we would like to welcome people in the community to come and bring a friend, bring a guest, bring somebody with you. The more the merrier. We want people to know what's going on in the community. We want them to participate as well. And this year we'll be talking about some of the milestones at at SAC.TV. Some of our programs are also being shown on OSM and on Channel 18 in Albany. We continue to do that, but on SAC TV they're available 24 hours, 7 days a week, live streaming like right now as well. And then the shows remain up there. So in this past year, we've done shows with Schenectady Inner City Mission, with SCAP, with the Boys and Girls Club, Catholic Charities, Downtown Schenectady Improvement Corporation, the Rotary Club, Human Rights Commission, Schenectady School District, BOCES, Schenectady Chamber of Commerce, Albany Chamber of Commerce, and MySci, and many, many more. So we've done a lot. Local community people have been involved. Right now we're about 250 shows, 3 guests per show. So you can do the math there. 750 different represents, at least a minimum of 750 representatives of different organizations have been on our programs to talk about what's going on in their organization, what's going on in Schenectady, what's happening in and around us. We also have equipment set up now where we can go out into the market and do live broadcasting from location, which is really interesting, not just live from the studio. We have also completed 10 video projects for TED, TED TV and TEDx Schenectady, which was a community-based project here in Schenectady. And for people who are not familiar with TED, they bring some of the greatest minds from all over the world to speak in an 18-minute piece. And they've had people on that show like Steve Jobs and Al Gore and all kinds of people. But we did a version here in Schenectady, and SAC was one of the directors of the video portion. And we've had engineers from GE and RPI and retired chemists and all kinds of physicists and everything else come in and do these shows, which we've now completed. So in about a week's time, all these shows will be up on our website for everyone to take a look at that. And the community organization, it's an organization for community empowerment that sponsored it. And we were very, very proud to be able to work with them on that. And they're looking into seeing what can be done here in Schenectady to improve community involvement, people getting involved in the future of their own communities. Which gives us a segue into the news section. One of the things Lou is going to talk about, Lou and I had a little brief conversation the other day about how what's going on in the political world or around the world actually happens in a microcosm in communities like Schenectady, meaning the changes in politics and finances. And I guess one of the things that we agreed is it really is all about politics to some extent, because the politicians will control the purse strings, they control what goes on in the communities in terms of improvements, taxes, expenditure. They control very many of the aspects of life even in these communities. And Lou is going to tell us a little bit about what just happened in places like Madrid and Barcelona in particular. Lou, can you tell us about the rise of the mayor of Barcelona?
Well, she's a woman, first time ever. Pretty soon it'll be so common we won't say first time ever. But the issues there are really the issues of Schenectady and just anywhere we look in this country and around the world. The issues that affect people. It's Main Street, if we can use that term, rather than Wall Street as a comparison. Housing, education, employment, health, food, these are the issues. And she's elected in a landslide. There happens to be a woman also, the new mayor of Madrid. But the issues in Barcelona are the issues of places around the world. And if we pay attention to what's going on, there seems to be a universal interest and attention on these issues, and also the issues of multinational corporations, the big guys. And it's also about how the public underwrites the large corporations, agribusiness as a big unit, for example, the fossil fuel industry, any large group, they're really subsidized by the public. And the issues also are that the public money seems to be necessary for the companies to exist. But the profits made from those companies are not shared. And that's a universal thing, so that public money is involved, but profits are not.
Well, I'd like to make a connection to something I was reading about this morning in the Business Review, the Albany Business Review. There was several projects that were defeated in Saratoga, development projects. And the people in Saratoga apparently didn't want certain types or certain amount of development that was being proposed, and they got it shut down overwhelmingly. They announced the forming of a PAC, another group decided to form a PAC, a political action committee. And the Political Action Committee is made up of developers who had their projects defeated and financiers and other inside of the loop type people who now have a vested interest. So what they're doing is they put together a PAC to go out and raise funds to have people run for the city council in Saratoga. And this is where we have to draw a distinction. What Lou's talking about in Barcelona. The woman was against a world economic situation that caused disasters in Barcelona. People lost their homes. People were being evicted from their homes in large quantities of people. And they didn't have a voice in government. And she actually, this current mayor, was a protester who was arrested many times, trying to defend the people in her own way, or trying to bring the issue to the forefront and to knowledge. And what happened is she got a grassroots started in her city, and the people came to her support and made a movement. And the average, everyday people made a difference. And
Yes.
now, today, she's the mayor, and she's going to work with them to write the laws and govern the situation. So this is an example of the people who took back control. Now, conversely, there was another story in the Gazette today about a community, I think it's Balston Spa, who didn't, the people apparently don't want to have a Walmart. And when the project was originally pitched, it was originally pitched as a supermarket. And then somehow it got changed into a Walmart, which they were against. So this article, they've gone to the hearing to talk about the bait and switch and the Walmart, because they figured Walmart was bad for the local businesses, and they weren't allowed to speak at the hearing. But the lawyers and developers were allowed to speak and give a presentation. So this is exactly the type of thing that we have going on right here, which is a good example of what happened in Barcelona.
And what's happening in other places. It's the same issue. The financial system, the mortgages, it's in our country, it's in Spain, it's really that kind of activity. And then no one gets punished, but people lose their homes, their livelihoods, sometimes in desperation commit suicide. So the people's issues are not addressed. And that is what is happening. Your example of Balston Spa. Now, Saratoga is a good example. Financial business interests ultimately given more consideration, almost priority consideration, without the people benefiting directly as is necessary. So when we look at it as a social issue, we see that the unrest, the impoverishment, the unemployment, all contribute in some little way into almost a landslide that'll lead to war.
Yes.
It's all connected. And people are beginning to realize that. And so we may see, and simultaneously, people are doing things for themselves.
And not just in the war, I mean, there's also increased violence when there's increased sort of totalitarian type pressure
Yeah,
to maintain the status quo.
yeah.
There's a pushback.
And that is the big issue, and it's all connected, and we don't think that way, the connections, because we don't get taught to think that way along through our educational systems.
We were brought up to believe my country right and wrong and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
In a way, it's exploitation of people, of others, and it's also exploitation of Earth, the resources. And now we face crises on both issues. We've got an environmental crisis that needs to be addressed.
now that you mentioned the environmental crisis, I'd like to say that we have similar situation in Schenectady. Not that it's a crisis, but they're building redeveloping brownfields, in this case for a casino and so forth. And our interpretation so far, and I'm speaking actually for myself and some others, but not in behalf of any organization, is that you're either for or against the project. But there's a whole area in between where important questions should be asked and steps should be taken that are going to be and are being totally ignored because the system is setting it up such, the people that are proposing this development and so forth, that you're either for or against it, and you're not allowed to argue the details.
Yeah.
And very often the devil is in the details. And we say there could be good points and bad points to a project. For example, we have people on our board at SAC who are in favor of the casino project, and we have others that are not. And they have some intelligent conversations about it. And there are many cases in redevelopment of brownfields, for example, where they lay undisturbed for generations, but then when development starts, things can start to happen. And it needs to be carefully monitored and watched and developed. So we don't want to just say, most of the articles in the local paper today, there's more bait and switch type things, where there was a casino project design presented and delivered, and then last week they came out with a whole new design, which a lot of people don't like. As a matter of fact, the majority of what I've read so far seems to be the public is very disappointed in the new design and all of the changes that were made. And so we need to find out, and locally here, how these grassroots organizations become effective and become developed so that the public and the interest of the public, the best interest of the public is pursued rather than lost. We feel like if you stay home, if the good people stay home, then the politicians and the developers and the other people get to decide whatever they want. It's past the time where the good people could say politics is corrupt, so I'm staying home. We've passed that point, in my opinion.
Well, people will coalesce around an issue. And we're seeing when there's a protest going on, there are people of all colors, financial situations, employment situations, coming together and using their minds from their various experiences. So what comes out of it is a unified kind of a thing. It's focused on the issue. The tactics used are based on other people's experiences. Mm-hmm. Now, what we're seeing overall is that, digress here for a moment, people who tell the truth are punished. People who expose the lies and the deceits and the corruption are punished. The people who do these things are not punished, as a rule. So that gets across. We're getting more aware of the incarceration situations and why so many people are incarcerated. Well, they can't vote. Depends on what they're charged with. They can't get a job. It all mixes up. See? So we've become what? Selfish, unconcerned, but the changes are clearly observable.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they are individuals. People are cooperating, and they're forming co-ops. Businesses as run on a cooperative basis. Not big differences in salaries. Differences, yes, but not the big differences. Everybody having a say. And it's a profitable way of working. And people who work together in a neighborhood, cleaning it up, healthy and so forth, there's a significant difference in attitudes of people. Gradually, you'll see a difference in their health because happier or they're more involved, whatever these little subtleties are. It's important if we're going to move ahead as a nation, if we're going to have to move ahead as a community, we have to understand these things. And we have to learn more about the nexus, the connection places between the various interests, business, large corporations, politics, all these issues that come together. And it's a network.
Well, I think network is the answer too, Joe, because if you talk about the power of three, if us three people go out from here, from something that we talked about, any one of these things that we discussed, any projects or any of these other things, and we each told 3 other people, now that's the size of a task that we can handle. I can tell 3 other people, and then those 3 people would tell 3 other people. Okay? It's not their job to reform the entire community or anything else, just a small little piece to go and talk to 3 other people, compare notes. Like we said before, we might disagree on different projects or what have you, like even on the SAC board, we disagree on something like the casino project, but we all agree is that the people need to pay attention and get involved and find out what's going on and make their minds up for themselves.
And that people need to know.
Being aware.
Being aware. See, where is there a newspaper, for example, that is strong enough to tell the truth, give the issues, stand behind things? Well, we might have 1 or 2 who do pretty well, but who does tell the truth? If the people want to know what's going on, maybe the people should contribute to some sort of an organization that addresses truth.
An organization
disclosure.
Like SAC.
Well, we're getting there.
With SAC, we're here to represent bringing the awareness to the public of the issues. And once again, I use the number 3 in 3 stages. Mm-hmm. One of them is the awareness of what's actually happening, and then why does it matter, and then what can you do about it. Those Absolutely. Are the things. That's my own personal mission statement, is to say that not to convince people of what to believe or what to decide, but help them to become aware and help them know what the consequences are. Why does it matter? Is an extremely important issue. And then most people think, well, you can't fight City Hall, so there's no point in showing up. Well, that right there is what's got to change.
Absolutely.
Because as the mayor in Barcelona now can tell you, and Madrid, who were protesting the status quo, working it from the outside, from the public up, from the grassroots up, it does make a difference, and it does happen. And then what we found is, there's a lot of people out there that feel exactly like you do, exactly like the rest of but they're not talking to each other about this. Because for one thing, they don't think there's anything they can do to change or to do anything different. And I'd like to take a second now, Joe, because you've been nice and quiet and polite over there.
I'm always listening.
And I'm sure you have some differences of opinions on issues, but I think that you probably would agree that what SAC is trying to do is bring out the word, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
Bring out the information and increase the awareness and let people decide for themselves.
Absolutely. So that they can think for themselves, have ideas, stimulate them to get involved in what's going on here. You're not just a number. You're a person. Your feelings count. I think that's real important. One of the things that I do for SAC that I'm so happy with is I have a show called The Beat Goes On with Joe Sinatra. I get to bring in entertainment from this city. The city's going through an unbelievable renaissance right now, from restaurants, Johnny's Italian Restaurant, Zen, Mexican radio, the newcomer on the block is starting to come up. Proctor's has great shows. You mentioned that 2 years down the line we have a casino come in, but not only a casino, a harbor. There's going to be condominiums, a retail store, a brand new hotel. And I can tell you from my acquaintance with Mr. Dave Bucco, I think he's doing a very thorough job on what he's doing. He's had environmental people come in to check that area out. I've talked to to the head of it about a month ago. So they're crossing all their T's and dotting their I's, and I think it's a good job. But Schenectady's going through unbelievable. Real quickly, just want to let you know that right in our city, coming up, and all through the summer, we're going to have family movie night. Right in Schenectady, the beautiful Little Italy down at Precca's, right on North J Street. You go down there and bring your family and kids, watch a movie. There's going to be a battle of the bands through the month of September through different venues in Schenectady that you're going to be able to go to. But the most important thing is this summer night. Fantastic thing that Schenectady started about 8 years ago. We drew 10,000 people to it last year. They block off State Street from Freedom Park down to Erie Boulevard. It's going to be on July 10th from 5 p.m. to 9 o'clock, followed by fireworks. You're going to be able to see. It's going to be like a Mardi Gras New Orleans festival right here in Schenectady.
Are they going to see a little Joe Sinatra out there?
That's possible.
Yeah, okay.
I am going to be doing a show a week from Saturday at Johnny's on the patio there. It's a show where you're performing to the whole city. I love it.
You know, I wanted to point out, you mentioned David Bucco, for example, and the Gleacy and the project of the casino and the rest of it. And again, we have people who are both for and against it on our board alone. I mean, the whole city is that kind of way. There are a lot of people for or against it one way or the other. And with SAC, we're all about the information. We don't want any misunderstandings, and we want people to know. For example, David Bucco will be welcome to come on a show here and explain some of these things to us, because quite frankly, some of it is very complicated.
Yes.
And the average citizen is not going to. So do you want them to make a misassumption? You'd rather have them, get it right. I have one phrase that I've always used. If it's in the best interest of the public, then it would still be in the best interest of the public when all the facts are known.
Absolutely.
Okay? It doesn't change because the public becomes aware of what's involved. And some of these things are very complicated and people won't readily understand them. I mean, these days you need an accountant and a lawyer just to survive. But it needs to be simplified, because in the city of Schenectady, just as the example from last week's show that we did here, it was stated that the taxes were 121%, of equalization rate, and property values had gone down by about 20%, which is reflected in that. These are things that need to be looked at. People are losing homes. There's a foreclosure, almost an epidemic of foreclosures as a result of this financial meltdown, not just nationally, but right here in Schenectady. And therefore, there are hundreds and hundreds of empty, abandoned properties and so forth. The people need to become aware of what's going on and what to do about it, and how it makes a difference. Okay, do these projects have some effect on the taxes here in the city? Well, if they do, we'd like to hear about it. Absolutely. And then, because my assumption is that if there's so many projects going on, then the value of the properties in the city should be going up and not down. So there's a big gray area here that needs to be explained. So to sum up with this, I want to point out that once again, the Schenectady Access Cable Council on June 23rd at 6 p.m. at Arthur's in the Stockade is going to have their member meeting, and it's open to the public, and not just members. It's open to. We want people to come in and find out what's going on and what we're doing, and see if they can help. We're seeing a lot of very encouraging things going on in the city of Schenectady everywhere, and development could be a wonderful thing if it has an effect for everybody. In other words, if it's the water that floats all boats, that's one effect. But if it's the water that floats only a handful of boats and everyone else is paying higher taxes, that needs to be looked at. Absolutely. And the public needs to become aware and become involved. With that, any final words, Lou?
Yes, pay attention.
2 words.
Well, a lot encompasses in those two words.
That's
Be
right.
aware of what's going on, pay attention, look to where the truth is.
And I'll
Think
say,
about what is the right thing to do.
pay attention and watch SAC.TV. And you can see it on your cell phones, and you can see it on your laptops, iPads, whatever it is that you have on the internet. And all the shows that we do get put up there permanently as well. So you can see all the shows we've done in the last couple of years. Any final words,
Lou has summed it up quite well. Don't get involved. Come on down to the city. Like I said, right now there's a lot of good stuff going on in the inner city, and hopefully the results of what's going to happen will go out and be to everybody's benefit. So if you read the big headline in the newspaper, talk to some people. Come get out, read between the lines, and make sure you're seeing. Well, ask questions about what's going on. Don't assume.
that's the name
Find
of
out.
our show, Lou, because read between the lines is
Absolutely.
they can be doing a great job of reporting, but it's really not their job to explain why it's important to the people out there.
Mhm.
And also to advocate what they might be able to do about that. But SAC as a nonprofit, and this is part of our charter, to bring that information out there, make it available, and bring people in and get them on SAC programs that are going to help in one way or the other to make the community aware of what's going on around them. And with that, I want to thank everyone for watching. We're going to continue to do this show every Friday at 11:30. We're going to run it live, and then we're going to put it up on the internet. It's also going to be sent out to OSM and to Channel 18 in Albany. It'll be on Time Warner, and we want to make it readily available to anyone, so it's also available on YouTube, on our own YouTube channel, Schenectady Access Cable Council. Thank you very much.